Welcome back, everyone, to Genshin Interact. Today, we're going to be talking about the future banners that are in 4.6, as well as some things that are going to be happening in 4.7. Now, with 4.6, the 4 stars have actually changed, which we had figured there was going to be a different set of 4 stars, and so that's why this video is a little bit later than usual, just about a day. But with these new banners coming out, we did want to make sure that you guys got some information, kind of our thoughts on what these banners are like. With all that out of the way, onto the video.
With Nervalet and Kazuha being available, you might be seriously tempted to pull on the banner. And I don't blame you. But there's a small problem. Your Primogem count is lower than my IQ, and not even doing your commissions will get you enough for one pull. Lucky for you, I have a great way you can buy Primogems at a discount. Loot Bar is 100% safe and only requires your Genshin UID to purchase Genesis crystals. Normally, the price for me to buy 6,480 crystals is $100, but you can see here how Loot Bar has reduced the price to about $85, and if you're a new user, you get an additional 5% off. The way it works is that Loot Bar tops up your account through the official channel with Hoyoverse. After making a purchase, you can expect to receive it in 30 minutes or less. In my case, I received mine in just about 5 minutes. Another comforting thing about Loot Bar is that they are trustworthy and offer 24/7 live support. Other creators like Dukaja, Jello Impact, Superatom, Mujin, and Tevat Times have endorsed and used this product themselves, including both Vixen and myself. Just use the link in the description to get another discount on top of the already cheaper prices at purchase. Thank you Loot Bar for sponsoring today's video, and now, let's dive in.
So the first thing we want to talk about is obviously the 4.6 4-star banner, the banner with the 4 stars on them. So at first we had thought it was going to be Fremine, Lynette, and Bennett, and then Bennett switched to Chevreuse, and then Chevreuse over the weekend has now switched to Xiangling, and it's never mind thoughts of ours anymore. Now it is official. The Genshin Impact Twitter, as well as some other sources in Hoyolab and whatnot, have finally thrown up the banners, and it does show these 3 4 stars with Xiangling, Fremine, and Lynette. Now, this is a little bit difficult because personally I'm not a fan of this banner. The only reason I'm really pulling on it for it is the 5-star, which you should be doing anyways. But personally, it's such a weird position to be in because a lot of people get Xiangling and Lynette for free already, and then in general a lot of people already have their constellations, and Fremine is just an interesting kind of idea that a lot of people aren't really going to necessarily want to pull and play with. So I don't know, Rift, what are your thoughts on these 4 stars on the 5-star banner?
Yeah, either way you look at it, free to play, veteran, whatever, it's kind of just a waste of 4-star slots. Like, yeah, if you're pulling the 5-star, go for it. But I feel like for a lot of people that wanted to get constellations on Arlecchino, this may change their mind a little bit to just kind of maybe just pull her and like dip out and then just get the constellations on her first rerun. And hopefully the 4-star lineup will be better because, yeah, I mean, Xiangling and Lynette, they're both free. So even for a free-to-play player, it's like you don't really have to wish on this banner. It's not a lot of value in the 4 stars. And Fremine, yeah, I wouldn't recommend building. It's not like he's going to complete the Abyss for you or anything. And yes, I know there's teams out there you can do some Hyperbloom comps with him and, something that's just unconventional. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend personally, and I could say that because I have built my Fremine, and it's like Razor, it's like Eula, it's like it works, but it's not meta. So if you want to, go for it. But yeah, it's just, man, I look at this, and then we also look at the weapon banner too, and it's like it's kind of rough because you don't have Lyney. It's like, it's just kind of an oof. And then Arlecchino's weapon's really only good for her as well. So honestly, when I look at these banners, unless you're pulling for Arlecchino, which I don't blame you if you are, she looks so good. She looks awesome. Great character. But besides her, this is just a really good patch to once again skip through and just save your Primogems. Maybe you already went dry a little bit with Nervalet and Kazuha because those were some goated banners. So I think it's just, for me at least, it's going to be a good patch to save. I have some characters in mind that are coming out with later Fontaine, some reruns. I want to try to pick up Farina's weapon. I don't have her weapon, but I have her, just stuff like that. So for me, I'm just going to be saving and skipping here.
Yeah, even for somebody who's going after Arlecchino and has been really hyped for her, if you guys at least, I don't know if you guys have kept either with the Discord or if you guys have been at least keeping up and heard me in the past, I've wanted to go after her second constellation, getting her C2R1 with her weapon. But the thing is that, like you were talking about just a second ago, Rift, it's very weird because you kind of want to, especially with Shovers on the banner. I could almost make a case for trying to C6 my Lynette. I already have Wolfang on her, and I could try to just build her to be a fun DPS type thing that's not really going to be goated. I'm not going to put it in place of my Xiao, but could just be something fun. I was trying to make a case for it to then try to get my C6 on my Chevrolet, and then, I could, once again, like I said, just make a case for it. But with Xiangling on the banner now, never mind just the banner itself with the other 4 stars, adding Xiangling on here is just it's a big deterrent. So I think a lot of people, like you were saying earlier, are going to really depend on, do they want the C0 up to the C1, and then if they really want constellations later, or will they sit at C0 and then wait for constellations later for a better 4-star and possibly as well a separate 5-star like Lyney or whatever on the second side of the banner, then maybe look better for the weapon as well. So I don't know. Both of these banners are just kind of meh. Never mind if you look at, Lyney as well. I wouldn't necessarily say that like Fremine or Lynette are necessarily going to be helpful. Xiangling, I guess, could be useful considering you just want more pyro characters. So I guess she's kind of good, but once again, that's just it's all just copium at that point. You're just kind of really forcing too much out of it.
The next thing we wanted to look at real quickly was looking a little bit more into 4.7 and the upcoming banners related to it. So in the first phase, it looks like we're going to be getting Cloran and Risley. Now, this is a little different from what was previously announced. I think it was Cloran and Farina that was initially leaked, but now it looks like it's Cloran and Risley. And then this is also where they might place the new 4-star Sethos that we talked about in our last video. They'll probably place him here. So that'll be a pretty good banner, a good lineup. Risley with his first rerun, of course, but I think Sethos is going to be an interesting character to put here because he might potentially be a good teammate for Cloran. I don't know. Vixen, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, personally, I think there are a few things here. Obviously with the change in not getting Farina this early is a little bit different. It was a little kind of different than what we've seen at least previously. I believe Raiden had her rerun in point 0.6, and I believe Nahida was the same. And so to see the Archon of the area not get the rerun in point 0.6 or in point 0.7 is a little bit weird for the rest of everybody, I guess, looking at Archons in general. I think in general, looking at this is a pretty good lineup. Cloran has been talked about a lot for a very long time, especially with her showing up in the story and whatnot. And a lot of people are excited to see her, especially with maybe some new gameplay with maybe some guns and whatnot that people are kind of excited for, considering Navia's already kind of quote-unquote started that, as well as Chevrolet with the same. So I think a lot of people are rightfully so, getting ready for her. Now, at the same time, Risley's kind of a come out of left field. So it seems like this is going to be his first rerun since when his first release was in the beginning of Fontaine, which is kind of interesting considering it's been a hot minute since he's gotten his rerun, which in general, if you actually look at how everything's kind of been going, it makes sense with a lot of them. Once again, I know I'm bringing it up so many times in these, but talking about the Chronicled Wish and talking about a lot of other things that are going on, it makes sense why, all these characters are getting reruns maybe a little bit quicker. For instance, Risley and Navia. Now, Sijwin, we've gotten a lot of talks about maybe her being some sort of Bond of Life support, and that's why a lot of people believe that she's going to be good for Cloran, because there's been talks about her using Bond of Life. And then does that make her a good support as well for Arlecchino, considering she's going to be the first character that does damage and whatnot, kind of off of the idea of Bond of Life? There's so many different things I think going on here, but I think the banner is going to, though, take shape as soon as 4.6 drops. So maybe we'll see a little bit more changes here, and we'll actually be able to see some kits and make a little bit more sense of it for sure. The last thing we wanted to bring up was in 4.7, the idea of the new abyss. Now, we've already talked about this before, and we talked about how there's probably going to be more than 4 floors. And it seems like now we've kind of gotten a lot more specifics on it being in 4.7, the new abyss with 8 floors, and the idea of getting 600 primos from it. Now, I think the biggest scare, as well as maybe the two sides of the coin, either being happy or sad, is that one side we're either getting a new abyss, an added bonus, or is it going to change the current abyss? I don't know. What do you think about that, Rift?
Well, personally, I don't think it would be a rework. I really hope it's not. I would rather them
add a new thing that we can do on top of what we currently have. Not just because it's more content, but also because it's more rewards. We get the 600 primos from what we currently have already. And then we also have another opportunity to pick up another 600 primo gems every, 2 weeks. So that's going to be 1,200 primo gems every 2 weeks. I think that would be awesome. And I think that's honestly, that's what Genshin needs right now, especially with all these new characters coming out at this point in the game. We're about mid game, if not going into the latter half of the story. And so there's just so many characters at this point. They even added the new banner recently to kind of, to my point. They added Chronicle Wish because there are just so many characters now, and it's, to help get the characters reruns faster. And so I say all that to say I think they would add it to kind of give everyone, but also new players, more opportunities to save a lot sooner and quicker for all these, you know, current reruns and stuff that are, these characters are just coming back a lot sooner than they used to.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that there is going to be a lot more of a change. It would be very nice. I think there's two ways of, once again, looking at it. It's either a positive outlook, the idea of hoping that there is going to be a new Abyss. And honestly, I really hope that there is a new type of Abyss. But in the back of my mind, there's always going to be that mentality that we're going to get messed up once again, and we're going to get just a rework of the Abyss. I think Genshin, looking at
Yeah.
it, could look at it and go, oh, they don't like the current thing, so we're just going to change it, but we're not going to give you any more rewards for doing double the amount of floors. I could totally see them doing something like that. Oh, they want it harder? We'll make it harder and keep the same amount of rewards. And I think they're missing the mark. And if they do that, I don't know if they're going to, but I think they could be easily missing the mark if this occurs in the future.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of how everyone for like it seems like forever now has been asking for artifact loadout system of some sort, right? And then we eventually did get, like, oh, you can like auto lock your artifacts now, and it's like that's not what we're asking for. And so I feel like this could be an answer to everyone complaining about endgame. There's not enough to do. There's not enough rewards. There's definitely a lot of drama out there, and this could be an answer to that on their side of things, and the dev side, right? Uh, and they could miss it again. It's possible, but I'm gonna stay hopeful. At least me, I'm gonna stay hopeful that it's gonna be an addition Abyss, right? So that there's gonna be more opportunities to not just get rewards, but more opportunities to test your characters and have fun with them, right?
Yeah, I think it will be fun. We'll kind of get to see what happens more, and we'll hopefully get some more primos if there is a double amount of primos, and once again, more endgame, which a lot of people have been wanting for a very long time. Well, that's everything we've got for this week. We've talked about a lot of things, a lot of stuff that's happening in 4.6. Hopefully, some changes with at least the banners and whatnot, as well as hopefully some interesting and good things that are going to come out of 4.7. Well, thank you guys for watching. That's everything we have, and we'll see you in the next one.